Today on Bass Fishing Declassified, our team members are about to share with you their top baits to throw during the month of November. They're going to talk about areas, retrieves, a couple little tidbits to help you go out there and catch fish during this month of November.
If you happen to live in the North Country, there's not a ton of anglers that are thinking about heading out on the water during the month of November. But I gotta tell you, if you're willing to dress warm, you can get out on the water and have some phenomenal days and really probably have the best shot at catching a true giant. Now, it's one of my favorite things to do is head out and look for some of those trophy class smallmouth that we've got here on Wisconsin. But there's not a ton of baits that work extremely well during this time period. So when you're talking about November, that's the month where we tend to ice up. So your water temps are going to be mid 40s to frozen. And from that standpoint, you got to really choose your baits wisely. One of my favorite baits to go with is this guy right here. This is a Berkeley Snap Jig. It comes in a whole bunch of different sizes. It's technically more of a walleye bait, but works amazingly well for wintering smallmouth. Now, I've got it paired up with a 4-inch Kitech Shad Impact, and this bait is going to be fished really slow on the bottom. But here's the key. It's got a couple of little wings on the bottom, and what those wings do is when you pull up on the rod, it kind of darts around on the bottom. It's in a very erratic moving bait. And if you happen to know where those smallmouth are wintering, you can throw this down there and trigger them into striking by giving your rod tip some small little snaps, hence the name Snap Jig. Now, I will say one of the other things I like to do is add a little tiny blade to the little eye that's attached at the bottom. That's meant for adding blades if you want a little bit of flash to your bait. But this guy right here is simple to use. You throw it out, let it hit the bottom, you give your rod a couple of short snaps, you get it to kind of scoot around on the bottom, let the bait do the magic. Now, from a presentation standpoint, I like to fish this on a 7.3 medium light spinning rod. I'm going to be using it with 8-pound fluorocarbon to a 10-pound mainline braided line. I'm really just trying to get this bait down there, get it to dart around. The lighter the line you go with means the better movement you're going to have. If you throw it on 15-pound, you're going to have some drag from that line. You're not going to get the darting, moving motion that you want to be throwing this time of year. It's one of those times, guys, if you live in the North Country and you're looking to get out to have a shot at catching a giant smallmouth bass, this is one of those baits, the Berkeley Snap Jig, that you're going to want to try. It'll really enhance your odds at doing it because it can be tough fishing. But I will also tell you, if you find a spot where you get one fish to bite, there's more there. So make repeated casts to that same spot and you can probably catch 2, 3 or more fish from that exact same cast. Get yourself a Berkeley Snap Jig and some warm clothes. Head out in the month of November.
Okay, guys, I love to fish during the month of November. A lot's happening. I mean, football season is rolling. We're about to have Thanksgiving week. Duck season's about to open in Arkansas. And let me tell you what, the fish are also eating. Okay, I'm going to share with you 2 lures that I like to throw during this month. Actually, 2 lures has caught me a lot of fish during the month of November. If you want to hear my top 5, guys, I have my new channel, The Fishing Coach. You can go check it out after you watch this video, okay? So that's where I'm going to have my top 5 there, but here I'm about to share with you 2. The first one is a flat-sided square bill crankbait. Okay, now this isn't just the one. I have a couple I'll put in the description, but this is the 6 cents Finesse F4 flat-sided square bill crankbait. It's a little smaller crankbait, man. It has a good weight system to it. You can cast it far. Good square bill here that deflects off the wood and doesn't break as easy. And I've caught a lot of fish with this one. They came out last year with this. Caught a lot of fish, little fish. I haven't caught like bigs with it. I've caught bigs with their bigger flat side, and that's the one I'm going to put down in the description and maybe have a fish catch for you right here. But that one has been one of my more successful ones. I like a square bill and a flat side square bill, guys, because if you know, like kind of where I'm at in the South, and it's just square bills and popular lure. Popular lure. Fish have seen a square bill from the spring through the summer, and right now in the fall, they're still seeing square bill. I like the flat-sided action that these start giving, which I think mimics that shad well when the water temperatures drop and just how all the shad's migrating. I think this does a good job of just mimicking them shad. These still deflect good off cover. Okay, it goes down there, bangs off your stumps, your rocks, your standing timber, and once again, a lot of times when you're deflecting off the cover, you're getting your bites. Okay, so like the old little square bill, flat side square bill crankbait, I'll throw it on anything from a 7.2 to 7.6 rod. This is a 7.6 rod today. I like that 7.6 rod because I get a long cast, okay? This is Denali Attacks. It's a moderate action, medium rod. It's a style crankbait rod where still with the long cast, it has enough bend up here, okay, a good bend to where it lets them load up, lets them fish eat it, swallow it, and load up on them so you can get them in the boat, okay? Catching a fish on a crankbait on a long cast is fun too, by the way. Another lure, okay, that's people kind of forget about in the month of November, okay? They think, oh, winter's here after a couple cold days, right? But I'm gonna tell you guys, throwing a topwater like this buzzbait right here, or any topwater, it could be a frog. I'm right now, one of my good buddies is still catching the fish on the frog on the Arkansas River. And I'm telling you, at Millwood you can, just like I did it with this the other day. Guys, I've caught fish on a frog in December and a buzzbait, okay? So, in the south where I'm at, you cannot roll out a topwater yet, okay? And definitely my guys that are bank fishermen, this is kind of more towards you. You're on the bank, you have more areas to kind of fish, and you're bringing fish from the deeper water up if you're fishing from the bank. So do not roll out a topwater. This is a buzzbait, Black's Custom Lure Brainbuster buzzbait. I like this buzzbait because look, it's one of his new buzzbaits, but you see it's hitting that brass ball right there. So there's a little brass ball, it's hitting it, gives it a different action, okay, different sound, kind of a different vibrating action too, which I think the fish needs right now. Different. I'm all about different. They've seen a buzzbait all summer, your normal buzzbaits you buy at Walmart, and this right here is different, okay? Now guys, I'm not going to go in crazy depth on it. You've heard on this channel, some of our guys do not throw trailers on buzzbait, okay? Then some do. So I had people ask me, why are you throwing like this horny toad or any trailer with a skirt? Guys, I'm just going to tell you, this is me. Now, if one of you want to share your thoughts on it, that's cool. I mean, it could maybe inhibit the action. I don't think it does as much, man. I'm not, anyway. But guys, I don't want to take this nice skirt off, okay? I want to be able to take my trailer off, throw it with the skirt, without skirt. So I do both, okay? I try both. There's situations I don't want it. The reason I have it on right now is because I'm making longer casts, and just, it's giving a little bit different action to the water, but mainly this is had some heavy, so I can make a long cast. If I'm skipping this dude up under docks and stuff, might not need a trailer on, okay? And there's just times I don't think a trailer is necessary. But just if someone asks, why do I have the skirt on there? They have there are buzzbaits, like this one here, there are buzzbaits in this style without the skirt, okay? I just didn't want to take the skirt off, all right? And so if you are one of those guys on a budget, that's what I'm getting to. If you're on a budget, you don't want to buy 3 with a skirt, 3 without, I think you're okay. That's just me, all right? Now, once again, I'm not fishing for $100,000 in tournaments either, okay? So those guys might tell you different. Remember that, all right? I'm just trying to catch fish, have fun, and help you guys, because that's what we're doing, right? We want to catch fish, we want to learn, and have fun. Appreciate you. Let's go see what the next angler says.
Really quick, if you guys enjoy the content in this video and want more personalized instruction, head to our website, fishthemoment.com. Then go to the virtual lessons page. Here you can book one-on-one virtual lessons with each member of the Fish the Moment team. In these 1-hour lessons, the Fish the Moment team member will break down your lake using Google Earth and a contour line map and answer any questions you have. Whether you're preparing for an upcoming fishing tournament or a fun weekend on the lake, make sure you sign up for one of these one-on-one virtual lessons so you're fully prepared to catch as many fish as possible on the water. Check them out at fishthemoment.com.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of Bass Fishing Declassified, and thanks for joining us for today's video. I'm going to be talking about my favorite lure to fish in the month of November, to sort of give you guys some tips and advice on how to use it and what type of areas to throw it in. Because man, I love fishing in November. There's nothing like getting out there when those leaves are falling and the temperatures are starting to drop, those fish are starting to move shallow and get a little bit more aggressive. There's something about the smell in the air. I just love fishing in the month of November. So first of all, before I get into this, I'm going to tell you what used to be my favorite techniques, and that was a spinnerbait and a jig. For so many years, that was my go-to. November's, I'd put on a big spinnerbait and a jig and cover water. But actually, the past 2 years, I've completely changed that up. And my number one November lure now is a glide bait, like this Megabass iSlide 187 here. Guys, in my opinion, there is no better month out of the year to fish a glide bait than the month of November. This is the time of year where I think the fish bite this lure category better than any lure category out there. So I sort of want to talk to you guys and give you some tips with that, because this is a finicky bait to fish, man. A glide bait is not the most user-friendly. It's not the most easiest lure to catch fish on, but in the right situations, it can be highly productive. Now, first of all, one of the things that you have to determine or have to decide before you start fishing a glide bait in November is you have to be on the right body of water. You have to have a body of water that has some decent fish in it. In other words, it's got to have a decent population of at least 3 to 4 pound fish in it. And unless you're fishing someplace like the Ohio River, most lakes have, a number of 3 to 4 pound fish in it. So number one, if you've got a lake that is known for bigger fish or has a bigger population of big fish in it, this is going to be a really good technique. The next thing you have to have is you have to have the right water clarity. For these glide baits to be really effective, you need to have fairly clean water. So I like water visibility of a minimum of 3 feet. Ideally, if you could say, what's my ideal water clarity, it would be sort of in that 4 to 6 foot range. And then on top of that, before I start talking about where you want to fish it, you have to have the right weather conditions. In order for a fish to actually bite a glide bait and not just look at the thing and follow it like they commonly do, is you have to have either a combination of some wind and clouds or at least one of those things. If you don't have wind, you need some significant cloud cover or a rainy day. And if you don't have cloud cover, you need an extremely windy day, like a 15, 20, 25 mile an hour wind. That's going to get these fish a little bit more aggressive on the glide bait and allow them to hit a little bit better. So first thing you want to do is when you're working a glide bait, if you reel a glide bait in like most people do, it just comes through the water just like in a S waver like that. Now, what you want to do is you want to jerk it like a jerk bait, because when you jerk it like a jerk bait, it goes like that, harder, side to side. It's like your side to side movement becomes a lot harder and a lot wider, and that will generate the strike a lot more than if you just reel it straight through the water like that. So that's a big factor to it. And the next thing, you have to fish it in the right type of areas. The best places, there's 2 type of areas you want to look for. Well, actually 3, depending upon the type of lake you're in. But my 2 favorite areas are bluff banks on the main lake or bluff banks in like a major creek arm. I just get on the steep bluff banks, throw long cast parallel, sort of in that 5 to 10 foot zone, and work down that bluff parallel. Or I'm fishing it on main lake or secondary points. Main lake and secondary points are probably my favorite areas because you can pull a fish way up off the bottom in clear water. If you're working this glide bait, 2 or 3 feet under the water like that, even if you're throwing it in 20 foot of water, those fish in clear water will come up and get that thing. So I probably would put points as my number 1 structure, followed by a bluff or steep bank. And if you do fish a grass lake, if you're fishing lakes like in California, TVA lakes, Texas, and Florida, just concentrate on those deeper grass edges and throw the glide bait right along those grass ledges. Also, guys, glide baits are really good on riprap bank. If you've got any type of riprap bank that has a sharp drop on it, you can parallel that riprap and catch fish on it too. But anyway, guys, this is my favorite thing. Once you start catching a few fish on this thing and you start seeing the size of fish that a glide bait will attract, it's easy to get addicted to it because there's not another lure category that gives you the percentage as far as your percentage of time fishing it versus the strikes you get that gives you a chance to catch a really big bass like a glide bait. So I will definitely have it on during the whole month of November, and I'll be looking for those 4 to 6 pound fish to really get after this thing and attack it. So hope it helps out. We'll see you next time.
Kyle Cordiana here, Bass Fishing Declassified. Today we're going to talk about top bait, top area, month of November. For me, the top bait in the month of November, that's right, the long, tried and true Flash Mob Junior by Yum. It's the Alabama rig, but it's not just any Alabama rig. I catch 10 to 1 fish on the Flash Mob Junior with the little willow leaf blades on it. It's an incredible bait, especially in the colder months. Once it got made famous, it took off, and it's still one of the funnest, easiest ways to catch fish and catch giant fish, especially in the month of November. So I'm going to tell you a few things that I like to do. I think gets me a few more bites when throwing an A-rig, and particularly on the Flash Mob Junior. So there's 3 schools of thought of what baits do I put on here. So, you can buy this right here by yourself. You can put your own jig heads on it if you want. And typically you're throwing a jig head that's 1/8 ounce, maybe 1/4 ounce. You could get heavier if you're fishing deep and go to like a 3/8 ounce.
But you pick your favorite jig head and you put it on there yourself. You can pick what color you want, or you can get one of these Flash Mob Junior kits that come with the Yum Scott Sparrow swim baits already on it. It already has 5 really good heads with the twist lock bait keeper on it. And this is what the swim bait looks like. This is a fantastic option. I highly recommend the Yum Scott Sparrow swim bait. They have it in 4 different sizes, 3, 3.5 inch, 4, and 4.5 inch. This is the 3.5 inch. The kit comes with the 3-inch size. That's a little bit smaller, which is perfect for the month of November. So definitely consider just getting that kit, and you're hitting the road running. You've got a good hook, good baits, everything, you're ready to go. So if you buy a kit like that, or if you're in the first school of thought, remember I said there's 3 schools of thought. The first school of thought is all 5 baits. So if you're not familiar with Flash Mob Junior or an A-Rig, it has 5 wires. It has 5 wires on it. Don't forget your Calcos bait sack. It has 5 wires on it. It has 4 blades, and it's got 5 hooks and 5 baits. They get all tangled together all the time. But the middle arm does not have a blade. The middle arm is the one that goes straight down, follows your line, and it goes all the way down in the middle. It doesn't have a blade, and it's the longest wire on the thing. So when the school is swimming and you're reeling it back, the wires that are sprawled out are this far away from the head, and then the wire that's straight in the middle is this far away. So it trails back there at the back. So keep that in mind, because that basically creates the weak point in your A-rig. So when a bass or a predator fish is looking at that A-rig, that bait that's trailing at the end is more likely going to get its attention, and it's probably going to eat that one first. And a lot of times on the Flash Mob Junior, they'll eat several of them. They'll eat 2, 3 of them in their mouth, and you'll set the hook and you'll have 3 hooks inside the fish's mouth. But so the first school of thought is to go in there and have all 5 of your baits be identical. Same length, same color, so that when you're throwing it out there, it truly looks like a school of bait that's identical. That's school of thought 1. And I'm for all 3 of these. In fact, I try all 3 very often. But school of thought 2 is, when I first started throwing an A-rig, I found if I put 4 of the same hooks, 4 of the same baits on the ones that are outside, and then the one long arm that's by itself, we're going to call it the weak link of the A-rig, I always put a different color on that one. I started doing that, and I got pretty crazy with it. I'd have all shad colored baits, and then the very trail one, I'd have like a bright blue one, or a chartreuse one, or a red one, or something crazy, almost saltwater-ish. And they would eat that rear one all the time and eat it better. And then I started going through, like, I'm gonna call it school of thought 3, is like the suicide. So that's really what's on that A-rig right there. I have like 4 or 5 totally different baits on there, different lengths, different colors. I've got a couple different Scotts Bros on there. I got a couple different Kitex on there, and I throw it out there and I start to inventory how many bites am I getting on each one. And there's been a lot of times that they pick one, and it's not necessarily the weak link in the A-rig either. It's one of the ones around the clock on the outside. And as they just show me a time and time again, let's say they want this sexy shad color over all the other ones I got on there, and I start catching 2 or 3 on that, and then 1 on one of the others, 2 or 3 on that, 1 on one of the others. That's when I start scooting my way through method 2, or even school of thought number 1, and I'll go to all of that, and they'll start eating all of them even better. So those are some of the tricks that I do. Now, where am I going to throw this in the month of November? You can catch them about anywhere, but where I'm going to challenge you to go to your lake is try the first third part of the creek. So when you get into a creek, start at the mouth and the first third of the creek, and I'm going to take it a step further. Look for the first thirds of a creek that have docks and baits. So if you've got bait and docks, I'm going to challenge you to fish that first third of the creek from the mouth to a third, maybe halfway back, and just throw this Alabama rig around your docks. And you know, I'm around here in Oklahoma. We've got a lot of docks that they're cable driven. They're floating docks, so they go up and down because our water levels change like crazy. Those are the docks that I'm talking about. If you have docks that are permanent with wood post on them, you know, those might work too, but I'm talking more like Clearwater fisheries, Ozark lakes, Highland fisheries. I just got back from up north, and they will smash it there, not necessarily on docks, but on rocks. But either way, target those floating docks, throw this alongside of them docks, don't let it sink very far down, and just start winding it in. And just throw it along the docks just like you would any other bait you're working down the side of a dock, but just keep it higher in the water column. Those fish love to get around the docks this time of year because it's a great ambush place. There's huge schools of bait moving around, and they undoubtedly end up around a dock, and the bass can just eat them. Or if you see the fish schooling out in the middle of that first third of the pocket, obviously throw this thing out in the middle and just reel it back. Tackle is really important with an Alabama rig. If you've never thrown an Alabama rig or a Flash Mob Junior, you gotta have heavy tackle. You gotta have a rod 7.6 to 8 foot in length. It's gotta be at least heavy action or extra heavy action. This is a 710 Kistler Helium heavy. You gotta throw it on at least 20-pound fluorocarbon. If you're gonna throw it on fluorocarbon, at least 20. But more times than not, just throw 50-pound braid. This is not a finesse tactic. They've got all them wires out there. They don't care what the line looks like. And then the next piece that I think is really important is see if you can get you a wide spool. This is a Kistler Chromium. This has a wide spool, a mega spool. It holds a lot more of that line. You're using that big diameter, especially in this case where I've got fluorocarbon. If I'm fishing this in a real clear water fishery, I prefer to throw fluorocarbon if I don't think I'm gonna get hung up in wood and need to pull real hard to get my Alabama rig back. I like throwing it that, but that extra wide spool is gonna make it really easy on you and your back and everything to throw that thing a long ways without like grunting and moaning too bad. It holds a lot of line, and otherwise with that big diameter line, you go to chunk it and all of a sudden you're down to the bottom of your spool. So get you a wide spool, Kistler reel. It's a 7-to-1 gear ratio. It's perfect for this, and it's just a throw out and it's just a steady wind back. You want that bait just staying even keel the whole time, and sometimes you might want to like give it like a twitch every now and then with your reel, and a lot of times that'll make that A-rig kind of and flutter, and that'll get you a lot more bites. So hope this helps. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. You can get all your Yum products, Flash Mob Junior, Scottsboro Swim Baits over there at lurenet.com. Don't forget, use my coupon code Cordiana15, saves you 15%. We'll see you guys on the next one. Hope this helps. Bye.